Welcome to Thinking Green. I'm Rana, and well, we're working out a little bit of technical difficulty, but we can start talking without having the technology. I first want to remind people that this Saturday is New London Citywide Cleanup Day. There are opportunities to help clean up our city all over town. I personally will be at Riverside Park, where we will be weeding and planting and clearing brush and painting. So people are welcome to show up anytime from about 9 a.m. on, and we'll end with a picnic. And since it's almost Cinco de Mayo, we'll have like quesadillas and margarita punch and stuff like that. So it should be really fun. So now to tonight's show. I have two guests tonight. Charlotte Hunter is kind of a regular. She comes a couple times a year. Charlotte, as you might recall, travels to Tanzania on behalf of her organization, Pocketful of Joy, and she always gives us an update on what's happening in the Tanzanian schools. And Louise Plack is here with her. And Louise has also been traveling to Tanzania quite a bit over the last few years. And so both of you can tell us, how things are. I guess I wanted to just start by asking you all, we still have some technical difficulties. Asking you all, so the last time you went to Tanzania, which was this past winter, early spring, what was new? Okay.
Well, what's really new, and I think...
Yeah, we're going to... I don't know. We're having a little bit of... let's see.
Maybe you can't go that far over. There
Maybe you can.
Maybe
okay, we'll try this. We'll put this down this far, just so... Okay. So... What's new at the schools?
So I think what Louise and I were really talking about is what's new is that the government officials came to visit our school projects. And that has never really happened before. They've never visited us at all.
Now, how long is it since you started working at BAS School?
This is our 10th year. This is our 10th year. And they just now came out because we decided to go and see them to see if they could assist us with some of the things that we need to help maintain the schools. So
now,
we went in to visit
did
them.
you get an idea from them what their response was? Are they totally impressed?
They were totally impressed, totally shocked, couldn't believe that this was my 10th year and they didn't know anything about me. And they knew nothing about Pocketful Joy, They knew nothing about Louise, who's been there, and the ideas that she's left with the teachers and how that's germinating and people are talking about it, which Louise doesn't even know, that I didn't tell her that some people came up and drew me a triangle. And you have to explain the triangle.
Yeah.
The triangle that I presented to them was the sense of, that we have students on one side of the triangle and what their responsibilities are. Bringing their materials, being clean, having their glasses, their parent responsibility. You have to make sure your child gets there, make sure their clothes are, check in on your children, make sure that they can have a chance to go to the library or do anything, and then the school's responsibility that the teachers will also ask about those glasses or also ask. That it's really a triangle that works together with everybody having a side. So I drew them then on the board when I was there. I sent back information, big handouts to them in a big box with information.
Now, would you say that your function there has partly been you are a teacher and that you have like professional expertise to share with them?
I got a tremendous amount of respect. Louise Plack, teacher from America. And, you know,
I believe it, because when I was working for Head Start and I do home visiting, particularly the families that were recent immigrants were extremely respectful of me.
Very much so. My expertise is not science. I worked with the science kids. I worked with the science teachers. I worked with the preschools. I went into each of the classrooms. I listened to the English being taught. It's a little iffy as to the curriculum, but it's the country curriculum. But there are some errors, so we understand where people might still have errors in their speech because of those errors in the textbooks. But you do what you can and you move on. You try to get the electricity somewhere out that way, but you have to respect the fact that they don't have it. And so your study time is Saturdays and long journeys after school.
So teaching in a classroom in rural Connecticut or suburban Connecticut and then going to Tanzania, I don't know, how would you describe the contrast?
For me, it was like camping and going right back to whatever basics. Saying, oh, I don't have this, but what do I have? I have my voice, I have my knowledge, I have a chalkboard. I have conversation, I can go to each student. That's the differences. If you're outside in the dirt, you've got a stick. You can still write all of your letters. We can still do everything. So we will bring it back. You can still sing no matter where you are. So a lot of lessons would be coming from song and chanting and things that you can't do, and bringing the kids to the posters that you do have. So you switch it around.
And kids can learn without whiteboards.
Oh, definitely. There's a lot of different ways, and the modalities that we would be using there, we're not using as much here. I mean, we don't use as much full body movement that we would be
and we
using
actually
there.
Could use more of that here.
We certainly could. It is something missing.
Nature deficit disorder is probably not something you see over there.
Oh, no, because you have to walk 5 miles to get to school, so you see plenty of nature on the way.
And now, you said the government officials change. What else is new? Many people who have viewed this show kind of have an idea of what's going on. It's not their first time.
So we have the advanced sewing program, which is starting. So advanced technique. Mama Tim has told me that we have around about 20 students in the village with their own little tailoring business.
Oh.
And so I said, well, let's open up our schools because we need to do more vocational training, because some of our kids are not going to go beyond 7th grade. They're not. So how can we assist them? So we do an advanced sewing. We open up the schools so that these other students can come, and anybody from the village can come. And the sewing instructors are the one who choose how much each person is going to be paying. So that Pocketful Joy is not responsible for that. We started off right at the beginning that the students and the sewing teachers are going to negotiate.
That's sort of an important point. Pocketful of Joy started a lot of things, but for the programs to be sustained, it can't always come from people in the United States bringing it there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so Louise, who, thank God, is on my board, we've been really discussing, self-reliance, for them to be self-reliant so that we don't have to run around all year long trying to raise the funds, that, they need to be able to take care of their kids. They need to be able to sustain the projects themselves, and how we're going to do that.
Now, you mentioned the government officials showing up. Are there government agencies that want to help support this program, or?
Well, that's what we're trying to explore. We're trying to explore things there in Tanzania to see who would team up with us in order to make that happen.
Now, is the government more interested in the students learning English and going on to secondary school, or do they also maintain an interest in the, learning the trades?
They were interested in everything that we were doing. Absolutely in everything that we were doing. and they want to use our schools, they said, as models for other schools. So the government, since we've been there, has said all the other schools now must give their kids some porridge during the day.
So there are still schools in Tanzania where the students are away from home for 10 hours without eating or drinking.
Yes.
Now, I know you've been on and told this many times, but I still find it just so foreign to me that maybe you can talk about how you felt when you went the first time and saw what the children were experiencing.
Well, I felt sad for them. I mean, I'd never seen such sad children, basically. I mean, there was no smiles. They just looked at me kind of blank with no expression. And I just thought no child should be that unhappy, not any place on the planet. And so I really wanted to help.
And food turned out to be the first way.
Meal is a big part of their program there. It's very important.
You feed them and they will come.
That's true. Hey, that's
And
true
that's
here
what
too.
happened. They were fed and they started coming to school. Their sense of just pride in the school and what they're doing, the fact that they were going, that might be your only meal of the day until you get home. You definitely don't have a breakfast. What Charlotte does, though, is not just bring the food there. It's that sense of, okay, I need to be a better person. There's something more than just what I'm used to in my own little village. I can think bigger. I can dream. The idea of having a dream that maybe I could go this far or this far or this far, it wasn't always there. But they could see people leaving school, going to the next level.
Wow.
Moving on and then maybe coming back, or hearing about somebody that finished and went to be a doctor or is working on something else. So they have some idea of maybe I too could do that if I'm studying. And the amount of students that we have in the upper grades and in secondary. Now, secondary, you mentioned whether the government has an emphasis. I don't think so, because they have all these courses that they're supposed to pass, and yet the government doesn't provide any teachers for those courses. So I don't know how you're going to pass physics and biology if you don't have a teacher.
It's kind of hard to
It
tutor
is,
on
and
those.
so the self-tutoring comes from us hiring students that have gone further and on their breaks coming back and tutoring, and parents paying in so that they can get that further education so that maybe they can pass.
Now, beyond just the feeding and the academics, a whole range of health services were put in place as well, right?
Yes. Yes.
So what have been the outcomes of that?
Well, the outcome is when Louise was there, we spent all this money on glasses and medication and bringing doctors from the hospital. And of course, when I went back, very few had their glasses. And so we decided that was funds that we really didn't want to, couldn't keep doing that. So this year, there was doctors were traveling through the village, and instead of our bill being $2,000, this year our bill was like maybe $200. Because we had the kids go to those doctors. We paid the clinic fee. But the other thing that we implemented, which Louise had told me to do, was to have the parents pay for the glasses and the medications. That we have we have to begin the journey of having them really be self-sufficient more.
Right, it's like a shifting of ownership of it.
Yeah.
And you're right. If the ownership of these kids' glasses is 5,000 miles away, how are they going to care that much if they get lost?
Yeah. So that was also a very huge difference this year, which was the eyeglasses. We just said, I had the experience with Louise, and we had done all this work and gotten all this medication, and I don't know how many pair of glasses at that time.
A lot.
Yeah.
And you have to say, where's the best use of our funds? What should we be providing? And I was, they better be on when we get back, and they've gotten lost, so that money's going to go somewhere else.
So what other kinds of health issues were you seeing 10 years ago that are better now?
Oh, definitely. When I went, we had, a lot of teeth problems. As a matter of fact, our favorite dentist, who is retiring this year, will be coming
You'll
back.
be sad to see him.
No, but
retire.
he's gonna come back to the village.
Oh.
And he says we could hire him to just go out, because what he does is that he goes and he teaches each grade how to take care of their teeth. So it's not just him extracting or anything like that.
Yeah.
He educates them. And so I'm happy that that program, when he retires, will be reinstated, because I think this year we only had 2 children that had to go to get teeth removed. So
How many children total?
around about 2,000.
So that's really pretty good.
Oh, it's excellent. I mean, we've done remarkably well, and whether they like it or not, they're thinking about how to do things. I mean, the teachers have started banana plantations, because bananas are very much needed there in that part of the world. So, and they're enlarging the gardens all the time.
Now you have banana plantations near the schools?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Okay, so how do you deal with the monkeys? I've got to ask.
Well, at Bière, we have a...
You plant one for the monkey and one for you.
Well, at Bière, we now have they have a guard. The parents, Pocketful Joy is not paying for this. The parents paying for a guard to stay there at night. And this particular guard has 5 dogs. Monkeys don't really care for dogs. So they are even beginning to grow a little bit of maize. I mean, not too much, because they're like, okay, they know the ropes that we've gone through with the maize, trying to grow corn.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening. Yakatari, we're not growing any maize or corn, but we're doing bananas, and we're doing pumpkins, and we're doing tomatoes. We have passion fruit there. So we're doing.
Sounds really good.
No, so we're trying to do things that will be sustainable and that can keep doing. And the coffee.
Hey, you mentioned last time that
growing fantastic.
Now that's coffee for export, correct, or for not?
Oh, well, I met with someone yesterday, and he has 2 people who are very exclusive, and they're very interested in the coffee. I said to him, I really don't want to do that, because that's a lot of work, and I would need somebody else to just handle coffee alone.
Oh.
So I said, right now, until we get our finances together.
Yeah, we would really prefer that they sell locally.
Sure.
And us not get into the import-export business, because our business is really children.
Right.
And orphans, and making sure that they're fed and they're clothed and they have the shoes. I mean, they're wearing a pair of shoes for several years. I mean, when you buy a pair of Crocs, you wear them for a while, you cut the toe part off so your toes can stick over and you still have the base, and you'll wear those for 3 or 4 more years. I mean, that's what we're dealing with. So to deal with the rest of that government issues with import and export just seems not the best use of our time.
Are there any coffee cooperatives in the area that do this kind of thing, that are
There is one right down the road. So we're hoping that that's the best place for them to deal with it locally, bring it down. It might not be as high of a price as if somebody else bought it somewhere else, but there's many more steps in the process, and they can get that money quickly, turn it over, and do the things that they need to do, like whitewash the paint over the blackboard, so they can get the blackboards nice again, instead of from the bird droppings, because they roost in the eaves in the schools. So it's a matter of keeping it local.
Now, I'm hoping that our technology is working, and maybe we can start showing some pictures. So I can try
Why don't you shift from your end, because that's where all the wires are.
Okay.
There. Oh, ta-da. Okay.
It is working.
Yay!
Okay, do you want to?
Can you see on the monitor, Charlotte, so you know what you're talking about?
Okay, we're starting with meals.
Okay.
Space bar moves forward.
All right.
I'll just like
Okay,
pivot
go
this
ahead,
a
Melissa.
little.
So here we have children lining up. The older children are scooping out and they're drinking maize and extremely happy. They line up and push and shove just to get down there to get that hot porridge, to get their uji and have their cup and ready to go. Might not be your meal of choice eating it 200 school days a year, but it's their favorite.
And actually, it sounds good. Fresh ground corn and
Yep.
Milk and sugar.
Or milk and sugar. So you can't beat that. Best meal of the day, maybe the only meal of the day till they get home and do the rest. You can see the grounds are fabulously green.
is that year round? Does it have a constant rainfall?
Yes, it does.
And there we've got the maize drying. You might know it better as just corn, but it's maize. And a little bit more with the health. So this looks like the regular eye medicine that I handed out like 2 years ago and read the directions in English so I could have it translated in Swahili so I could explain to them how to actually
Now,
use
is
the
this
eye
like
drops.
for eye infections, like pink eye kinds of
like
things?
that kind of a thing, or some other infection based on something, but showing them how to put the eye drops in.
Now, are those contagious, so they spread through, or?
We do try to keep all of that, wash your hands and go through the whole thing. We do give them soap, so we make sure that they're as close to perfect hygiene as we can. There's a doctor doing the little eye exam. You see the girl way in the back there, holding her eye so she can do her exam. The school grounds.
Now, which school is this one?
In Toma.
In Toma, and
closest to where Charlotte and I stay. So that's
Now, that was the second school you became involved in. Now, when you first started Yakatari, I think.
No,
I was even thinking when Bieria was a few years being worked with and Yakatari was new, you could really see the difference among the state of health and happiness of the children in the two schools. Have they kind of all leveled off, or?
Yeah, I mean, they are, when the World Health Organization came and they examined our kids, they said that no child was malnutritioned, and they were very surprised because this is a rural area and nobody, they said, comes here,
So there really isn't malnourishment?
No.
Now,
No,
I'm guessing there
our
was
kids.
quite a bit when you first started.
Oh yeah, the pot bellies were very big. This is a young man who started with us in 2004 and came up to me because he says he just wanted to say thank you to us and everybody in Pocketful Joy because he feels like he's successful because of us. And I said, really? He says, yes. He says, you guys gave us.
Now, how old is he and what is he doing now?
He's a tourist guide.
So I'm guessing his English must be pretty good.
His English, she came right up to me and says, I saw you, I had to come and say hi. I saw you playing with the kids again, just like you used to play with me. And so I was like, he's taller than me, and I was like, oh.
So how old are the students when they enter the workforce like that?
It was hard to say because he didn't go on to secondary school. I mean, he started, he said he had to, help his family take care, of his mother and sisters and whatnot.
In secondary school, the primaries go from 1st to 7th. So secondary starts what would be our 8th, 9th, 10th,
So it was
11th
almost like
grade,
our high school.
like our 11th grade. And then if they pass those tests, and again, the numbers get smaller and smaller as you don't pass the test, then you would be our, say, 12th grade and first year in college by the time they finish high school. So some of them are quite tall and old looking by the time we get to see them. And here are some of the teachers.
Some of the teachers at
He's as tall as one as
Yes.
the teachers.
Now, where do the teachers come from? Just how do you attract them?
They are at Bière. Nobody wants to come to Bière.
No, why not?
We can't get any women. Well, it's in the bush.
Oh,
It's far down. That section doesn't have, both of they don't have electricity. So that's a deterrent from working. The government assigns you So sometimes they get assigned to those rural schools and then just don't show up to teach there.
So what did
So
the
we have
class?
13 men at BIA and 1 woman.
Well, now, how big are the class sizes?
100, 120.
Now you have to understand class sizes come from not just, we don't have enough teachers, that's one issue, but also you're building the classrooms one by one. So here we might build the classrooms and say, oh, I have 100 kids, I want to put 20 in each, I want to build 5 classrooms. They build one classroom and then jam them all in. And then they share desks. So it's just a different philosophy. They build, like maybe one classroom at a time. And then, or we would help, put some of that construction in.
I have to ask because even like teaching here, between having 25 and 40 students in a class is a huge difference. Are there like disciplinary issues, and how?
Well, it's a
How do
very
they work?
different system. The teachers teach for a little while, and then they leave them with an assignment, so then they have some room monitors. But, the children that really want to get ahead are just going to buckle down and get it done. There will always be discipline issues. I think that's just universal. That's one of those universal childhood things. And if the teacher's not there, which sometimes the teachers don't show up for the class, then there's a real big discipline problem, and you can tell because it's quite noisy in the room. Well, nobody showed up. What happens
Yeah.
when the teacher's 5 minutes late and there's a substitute? Okay, same
Yeah.
thing that happens there. You have the discipline issues, but it really, I would say that many more children have a drive for learning because they see that as their ticket out of where they're at.
Well, the previous slide, I was just going to ask, is that school being rehabbed, or?
That's it.
Or is
That's
that the-
Yakatari.
That's Yakatari with
Totally rehabbed. It's
totally redone buildings that had very small windows. Walls were separating from each other and sort of falling down, so we really had to rebuild. And then just redone, lightened up on the colors, more windows, some more light comes in, just a much better learning environment.
Now, where is this?
This is in the village. This is in
Typical
this is,
housing.
Yeah, this is typical housing.
Now, the roof materials, are those
Thatched.
thatched?
Yep, it's a thatching that you will have to go out with your sickle and cut it all down and dry it up and put it up there in layers, and that's
That's
typical.
And there were bananas in the background, I could see.
Oh, yeah. Well, bananas are a staple. We learned when at least I learned, I didn't know that there were over 100 types of bananas, depending on the little ones that we tend to eat. Those were not the favored bananas in the area. They were more of
no?
a green
No,
banana.
they let them rot.
Yeah, we wanted those.
Aren't
They
the
looked
little
nice.
ones like really sweet and nice?
Yes, we were the, the ones that wanted the kind of bananas nobody else ate,
So, yeah, so you could have lots and lots and lots.
We ate all those bananas we wanted.
Yes, we did.
This is actually at Bia, the first school that we had done.
And it looks like there's renovation being done there as well.
Some renovation and then some lack of renovation. It's actually starting to deteriorate, and the grounds don't look nearly as good as some of the other schools because we don't have, I don't want to be biased, but I think it's somewhat because we don't have as many female teachers.
Oh,
Seem to want to, keep the beauty of the grounds a little bit
yeah.
more.
I noticed that, I think it was the Entoma school, the landscaping was beautiful.
Nyakatari has
Oh,
beautiful. Nyakatari is beautiful, and there are some women there. They just have the
Yes.
best grounds. That's my favorite school.
Yeah, they do.
I can say that because they won't hear me from
They
Right.
have the best grounds. They really
They do.
They really do.
And
No,
here's our officials.
Oh, your
Our government officials who came out to look at the schools, and they said we had to come and see for ourselves because we couldn't believe what you were telling us, and we needed to see it for ourselves. And now we'll take it to a higher level. So
what do you expect them to do for you?
you know what? Louise and I will sit down and we'll make a list.
Make them a list. Some things.
We'll make a list. I'm quite sure she has a much broader idea of what really is needed for
In terms of
teaching,
curriculum?
Curriculum and just implementation, and also training the head teachers to actually be more of a head teacher. There's just a lot of basic things that don't require money that really need to be, and that's already in the letter that I already wrote them like 2 years ago. So if they just dig out my letter again, they can see I've outlined it all for them. I'm all set.
So you searched them out because you wanted specific kinds of
I
help
searched
from
them out
them.
because I thought, we are really working hard here, and you know, I'm asking the parents to be more responsible, the teachers to be more responsible, and how about the government? And this is the first time we've ever gone.
So
to
they are
government
showing signs
officials.
of buying in.
And he
some
was
extent.
he was shocked and very impressed. It was amazing because I couldn't have ordered this. I couldn't have dreamed this up, because when they walked in at Bear, the sewing project was right in the middle of it, and kids were at the sewing machines making their uniforms, and it was just like, it was just perfect. And they were like, God, kids are actually sewing, you know. So
I take
was
it that
like,
isn't common in Tanzania for kids to.
well, they don't have
sewing
vacations. They don't have
program.
all these extracurricular. I mean, the gardens alone are enough, don't you think, to really make them, you know, try to figure out like what's really going on here.
Your influence in the area had already occurred, because we did have several other schools close by that had started feeding programs where parents had gotten together, like as what we would call like a PTO, and gotten it started because they had seen what was happening near us. So there was already some branching out, but again, the government didn't realize that was happening too, and didn't realize that that was sort of that effect of, well, they're doing it, that sounds like a good idea, and I think we'll do it too.
It sounds almost like it's an advantage for the first few years while you're figuring things out and getting your feet under you, to be a little bit off the radar screen, because then the officials come and it's like, wow, it's magic.
Well, I just never really thought about it. I don't know why I thought about it this year. I had talked to our directors in Tanzania about it, and they had wanted to do something, but they didn't know that if.
And we had met 2 years ago with all of the people in their department regionally. I mean, we really had some high-level meetings there, as high as we could go in that region, and just said, you know, we really need to, you know, and encouraging them to reach out, because they are part of the system as well. You know, and what are your dreams? Because they have dreams as the administrators in that area, to be able to get out to the schools to help investigate the schools, to help, you know, see what's happening. But if they don't have a car and it's a 2-day walk, they might get inspected every 3-4 years. So it's a little bit different.
Now, what portion of the population approximately live in, you know, the big city like Dar es Salaam, and what percentage in rural areas? Is it, you know, do more of the resources go to the city, would you say?
I would think so.
I would think so, because, you know, when an official comes, I mean, it was a big deal when I was there several years ago. The president, you know, the country actually came to the area, and you could tell he was coming because they widened all the roads and they packed them down so that there was hardly any dust, and you knew something big was coming because road construction was going to happen. And you could tell where he was going to go. Like, we knew his parade route. There was no secret there. We could tell where they were going to go by the tea plantation.
Oh, yeah.
This Bacoba tea plantation was where he was, one of the places he was coming. But you could tell he was stopping at that one spot and turning.
And here is
Bacoba tea, loose tea. That we went to the tea plantation, and we do have tea that grows near the school. It's not our tea, but it's all loose tea. Yetu, Bacoba tea.
Now, Tanzanian coffee is pretty well known. Is Tanzanian tea also an export crop in general?
I don't think it's as well known. I mean, you think about coffee, but the families that we stayed with, tea was the staple. I mean, we weren't drinking coffee. We didn't drink coffee at all, except when we were in Dar es Salaam. It was all tea. It was all chai tea the whole time. I mean, that was your part of breakfast. I poured it on my soda that I had brought with me, so I had chai tea instead of milk on my coffee.
Tea is what most of the people in the village drink.
Yeah. So I think it depends on where you are, but we could get the coffee, you know, elsewhere. Oops.
Okay, I guess we can go back to the pictures.
Okay. All right. Let's see. I'm trying to look and see.
Okay. Oh, that's. So what's growing here?
Carrots.
Now, where are we? I guess.
In Toma.
Yeah, that looks like. Yeah.
That's Bia.
That's Bia. In Toma. Carrots grow very well. Onions grow very well. The eggplants are to die for.
Those are peppers.
Peppers. We would often have peppers, onions, eggplant. You know, whatever's in season. So ratatouille is, you know, constant.
Yeah.
You know, you're always eating that. And then they have a lot of spinach that they'll grow as well.
And this looks like a lot of growing, a lot of vegetables. What becomes of them? Do they get
60% for the children, 40% we sell.
and the vegetables for the children they get to take home with them?
Yes.
The kids that work in the garden. You'll choose like a sewing path as a vocational piece, or you can do some gardening, and the kids that do some of that gardening get to take that home. And then when they sell it, then the money goes back into buying, you know, more seed, and we
Sure.
get some seed donated that we bring over, and just to maintain what they need. But all the water, you know, so many of the other things come right from the area.
This is our passion fruit,
I don't.
which we never get a chance to sell any of it because the kids just take it and eat it.
Yeah, they'll take it and eat it. You know, we had it in the juices, part of the juices every day, which is absolutely fabulous. But yeah, the kids were just eating them like.
Candy. So,
Yeah.
you know, when I saw this, because this is a different kind of passion fruit, it's very exotic, and it only grows there. And when I saw this huge plant with passion fruit, I said, I've never seen that. And they said, well, because most of the time the kids are.
Yeah, it doesn't get to
Doesn't
the
get- doesn't get-
market, even the local markets.
No,
it doesn't get to.
No.
And so what was I going to say? Don't eat our fruit. So I just say, okay. You know.
You have to plant more then, I guess.
Well, that's only one little bush, which was
Yeah.
rather large. So we'll, you know.
So what does a passion fruit taste like?
Oh, I can't even describe it.
Sweet. It's
Has an incredible smell.
that and a little mango.
It
Makes
has
it
an
wonderful.
incredible smell.
And then they'll
Also
mix it with a
passion
little
fruit.
carrot. Now you're just
Oh.
going to get me homesick. I won't be able to listen again, and I won't be able to drink any other juice again, because that's what I had, like, withdrawals when I came back.
Yes, you do. You feel very
This is one of the
bad.
coffee.
Yes. Yes, that's beer, because that's beer's coffee has been there much longer, and now hopefully we have a crew there that will really nourish these trees. But also, you know, the last time they were sold, the money just
Because of the market, like the weirdness,
We don't know
or
where the
just
money
you
went.
I
just
don't know where it went.
oh, one
was
of those
sold,
little
but
It was sold, but we
mysteries.
didn't-
Yeah.
yes.
So all the
Well, when you
kids were-
think that, you know, Yakatari did 238,000 shillings, you know, and Intoma did, I don't know, 385,000 shillings, and then Beer does 93,000 shillings, and it's the oldest one.
Yeah,
with
it
the
makes
mo-
no sense
Yeah.
because it should have the biggest crop. So yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know, you do what you can. And you
Sure.
just like,
Yep.
okay, fine.
Okay, and
And
bananas.
the
Yeah,
bananas.
that's the new banana plantation at Yakatari, which I've never asked them to do anything at Yakatari. It's just that every time I come back, they're just
They
really
do have visions.
Wow.
They have
Exploding.
visions saying, we're going to expand this garden here, we're going to do this, we're going to sell this crop. If we get this much more coffee planted, we're going to get in this amount of money, and it's going to get, so they have a plan for their school. They have their little PTO,
Oh, that's really great.
and they're moving forward with that. They really get that concept there as working more as a community.
No, they're really moving forward. This school is really moving forward. a great
Now, is
deal.
there any like concrete difference, or
Well,
is
in the
it just the
leadership. It's the leadership. I mean, the young man who is in charge of Yakatari, who may be leaving, is just very quiet, very calm, but very strict. I mean, he's just the teachers. He deals with everything, the kids, everything. I mean, he's just that
He's
kind
an administrator the way an administrator should be.
You know, he's
Yeah.
just that kind. And Yakatar in Toma, we have a female head teacher, which is unusual, and they just pretty much fight her
They're
Yeah.
not into that.
every step of the way. So, but she's excellent. She's excellent, but
so is
really take her to task.
so I'm guessing there isn't really that much gender equality there in the culture.
No.
No, women can't own, they couldn't for years and years own their own land. So now, I mean, over time, some of the women are starting to buy some of their land, because if your husband dies, your son gets the land, or it reverts back to
Right.
the brother. Somebody else gets it. You don't get it as the wife, even though you've been married.
So even someone very skilled would have a hard time gaining respect in that situation. Okay, water.
Well, I took this picture because this is one of the spots that even we have to go get water if our water cisterns are empty. And it's a couple of miles from everything, but there it is. And so, and you see very young kids are.
You know, you've got your big 5-gallon, containers, and you're filling them up, and you're 5. You have to, there's the jobs of bringing water to school, bringing firewood to school so that the cooks can cook the maize, and bringing palm leaves so that you can make the fencing that goes around the school,
wow.
the thatching. I mean, your job assignments are, or you're going to bring your broom and you're cleaning the classroom today, or you're cutting with the sickle. So, in Tanzania, it's typical to bring, a sickle to school, because you've got to go cut the grounds. There is no groundskeeper. So you'll be taking care of that, unless the local cows sometimes are there.
So from a very young age, you have a job.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But
that's his cart that he's made to pull the water for his family.
Wow.
I thought
And
that
how
was
old
pretty
is he?
ingenious.
Looks about 6.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, they work. I mean, they are not fooling around.
Okay, now the sewing program. You have sewing programs at all 3 schools?
All 3 schools. Absolutely. I think they're doing well.
And it's not the typical sewing machine. You have to remember, it's not electric. So, you've got to use that trundle machine. You've got to get that foot action going. And but you've got to sew your uniforms.
Now, is there a difference in interest between the boys and the girls in sewing?
We have 9 sewing instructors. 6 are men, 3 are women.
The gentleman who made my outfit was a gentleman, that we had hired. I mean, when you go into town, a lot more of them are male. There are women working, but they're usually working for someone else in a larger area. But it really, if you're the girl and you're not doing a skilled labor job, you have to tend the land. You've got to get the land and the food ready and everything done, and the water and the laundry, and you're just not. You have your place.
And talking about your outfit briefly, clothes are custom made to some extent.
Yes, there's very little. I mean, there's a couple choices. You're either going to sew it yourself, you're going to have somebody sew it, or you're going to, a lot of clothes from the United States get bundled up, and we send clothes. When you drop off clothes and those clothing, some of that goes overseas. So some of the people there, that's really what they do as a living. They'll take that, whatever they get in that big bag of clothes, and they will put it out on the side of the street, and they'll sell it. So you don't know what sizes you're getting. So you do have a lot of American clothes there that may have come as a donation, but they may have come because it was sold as a bulk unit, and now it's being resold. Or it's sewn for you. So the pieces that we have are usually, they were sewn. I mean, I picked out the fabric and sort of did the Project Runway thing and sketched out what I wanted, and then asked the man to make it for me.
Well, looking at the fabric too, dyeing must be huge as well.
We never got to see any of the factories. We just the places where we were buying the fabric and picking out everything else that we needed.
Now, I have no idea how many pictures they are.
Oh, I don't know either.
We're going to go
But we only have about 8 more minutes, so I guess we should go back to them.
Okay, so this is the elder care program. It's the work study.
Secondary school.
Yep, secondary school students. In order for us to pay their fees for them, they're
And
going
you said
to
that's from about 7th or 8th grade?
That's like what would be our 8th grade, 8, 9, 10, 11. We pay their fees, their school fees, because they have to pay for their exams that they have to take. And they have to pay for a lot of the things. So we pay their fees, and then they're allowed to get matched up with an elder in the community that needs some extra help. Getting water, maybe fixing their thatched roof, and they have to work with that elder for a certain number of hours in order to get their fees paid.
Now, are you seeing an upswing in the number of students who want to go to secondary school?
Well, you have to pass an exam from 7th grade in order to even be allowed to attend secondary school. If you fail that exam, that's
done.
the end of your education.
You're done unless your family can pay for you to go to a private secondary school.
Okay.
So, you know, if you get to go on to a secondary school, it's like big time.
Now, I know English is taught in the schools. You mentioned that. Do students have to have some proficiency in English to pass that exam? Or is it other subjects more than English?
Well, to pass the 7th grade, I think they have to have some proficiency in it.
They have an English exam for 7th. They have a Kiswahili exam, geography, math, science, and then at secondary it gets even harder because there's more, chemistry and physics, and they have more subjects. And again, secondary is where they're missing a lot of their teachers.
So we started a tutoring program, which we hope to begin when they're in 6th grade, like on Saturdays for English, because we realized that when they get to 8th grade, they're totally lost. I mean, they're just...
Is the secondary school largely taught in English?
Everything's
Taught in English. From they start learning English in 3rd grade, and then all of that starts progressing. You're going to learn more and more and more. So, can they read and write in Kiswahili? Probably, but some of them still don't. Maybe might not even pass that, and then they're learning the English as well. So they really have 3 languages: their native tongue, the Kiswahili, which unites the whole country, and then English to some level, where many more of us are still only on one.
Yeah, well, we in this country just don't get that exposure. Now, who are these people?
Just the children that are matched up with the elders. We also have some people that are considered elders. We have a gentleman that's blind, and there are no services for the blind, so he's been matched up since his for a long time. So we have some smiling faces.
And the elders must love it.
They love it. They are so filled with gratitude for this program. They really are. They absolutely are. As a matter of fact, this young woman, father who's died, is the man who took me to Bière when I asked him to take me to Bière, to take me to a private, to a primary school. Yeah. So it's nice that we're helping her to see if she can get through secondary.
Wow.
As you see, these are inside their places where they live, and it's.
And several of the elders really aren't very mobile, and we don't have a lot of walkers, and we don't have that. So they'll move around their little hut.
or good roads and paths for them to even use.
So they'll move around their house, but sometimes it really is a crawl. I mean, one lady was crawling around her place. She really needed the assistance.
And then to get water or whatever would be really daunting. Well, we can go through the pictures, but also think about in the 5 minutes we have left to talk to people about how they could help.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Donate. Obviously, whatever money we send, gets transferred right over, and then it's. We have very few things that we actually pay. We pay a little fee for some administrators here and there because. They're driving all over. They need some driving. And then we pay for our sewing instructors and our garden help. And we pay for the cooks, anything else that we have. Mama Tim's got a new car.
Probably gets
big deal to have a woman have a car.
It's very, I think she's the only woman in the village driving, and they look at her like, oh, you shouldn't do that.
We don't have outside plumbing most of the time, but Charlotte's brushing her teeth at the sink, which doesn't go anywhere. It's just the sink.
But they put that up, and I said,
it was special.
I was like, nobody's using this. I guess I should use it. So I use it when I go there.
And just some general. You can see the land is absolutely gorgeous. Who wouldn't want to live in such a wonderful area? The fruits, the vegetables. But we've made them healthier. We've given them some vision for what they might possibly be able to do. They can dream to be something. We have somebody studying to be wanting to be a pilot.
Wow.
Somebody else finishing up to be a doctor. So, you know, being able to have those people come back to the village and give back is just fabulous. But, you know, we can't do it ourselves. We do quite a bit, and every piece of money gets eked out. Like, we don't want to mail you. We want your email. We want to email you so we can save that money.
Yeah. Okay, we've got 1 minute left, and we'll go out on the community calendar. I guess people can go to your website. They can get more pictures. And thank you. It's great to have you back.
Thank you for
maybe
having
you
us.
can come back again in November and make a pitch again. So we'll be going out on the community calendar. Next week, Dot Nielsen is going to be the guest, and she is going to bring musician friends. Ken Atkins and the Honky Tonk Kind will be playing with us and talking about their music. So we'll see you then, and thank you, Charlotte and Louise, for coming on tonight and for doing all you've been doing in Tanzania.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Another technical glitch.
No, not really.
Nah, just
what it is.
not the very most organized show we've ever had.
Hey, that's life.
I think it was good.
here comes the sun, here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's alright.